Spurgeon here with RevZilla, and today we're going to take a look at the Joe Rocket Hyperdrive Jacket available at RevZilla.com. So the Hyperdrive Jacket from Joe Rocket is a sport-inspired, just street jacket with a very aggressive, almost race line to it. And it's available in two different flavors. So you have either a non-perf version or a full perf version. Now, on the left-hand side, I've got Mr. McHugh, who is wearing a full perforated version to this, and you can fine-tune this based on where you're going to be riding most. So if you're in a warmer climate, you want to go with the full perf version. This is going to allow a massive amount of airflow in addition to the vents. If you are looking at something that's going to be the full non-perf version, that's where you'd be in a cooler climate. Some of you want to stretch longer into the cooler months of the year. So seasonality is really going to depend on which version you go with. Full perf, that's your 1-2 season, late in the spring, summer, and into the fall. If you go with the non-perf version, you can layer up underneath it and you can push it further into the cooler months. Now, included with this, there is a thermal vest liner, but honestly, it's very lightweight. So if you are planning on going with that non-perf version, stretching it into the colder months of the year, you're gonna have to layer up with some base and mid layers underneath to be able to get you there. So sizing for this. Now, when we talk about Joe Rocket, traditionally this is a more American cut brand, a little more generous in its sizing, and there's no surprises with the Hyperdrive. Pat normally is gonna be a 46 in this if we're looking at the size chart. Now, the size chart for this is an American size chart. Don't confuse it with European sizes. So a 46 means that he's got a 46-inch chest, which he does. If I'm talking about his measurements, 230, 6 feet, 46-inch chest, we actually sized him down. So if you are looking at the size chart, whatever it tells you, you want to bump one size down. The 44 fit him spot on. Now, the one quick note here is even in sizing him down, the sleeves on this are extremely long. So even by sizing him down one size, it comes down almost to the back half of his hand. So extremely long sleeves with this. If you are someone that has trouble finding jackets that are long enough in the arm for you, this is definitely one to consider for Joe Rocket. Now, sizes will range from a 40 up to a 54. And the note here is that sizes 50 to 54 do get a price bump. This jacket comes in around the $330 price point. It does bump to around $350 if you go with the larger sizes, the 50, 52, or 54. When we're taking a look at this, one color available, and like we said, there are two versions. There's a full and there's a full perf version and then a non-perf version. And if you want to take a step up from the Hyperdrive, you'd be looking at something like the Super Ego. And personally, I actually like this better than the Super Ego. The Super Ego to me is very dated. It's almost 90s. All the armor is interior. There's none of the exterior armor. Whereas I feel the Hyperdrive, for a little bit less money, again around that $350 or $330 to $350 price point, gives you more of a modern look. It's definitely more aggressive. You have the exterior shoulder sliders, and it gives you more of that more modern sport bike feel to this jacket. Now, starting with the top and working our way through, Pat, I'm gonna have you just go ahead and, there you go, get that beard out of the way for me for a second. So we've got neoprene at the very top of the collar on this, which is gonna be adding a comfort feature. You can go ahead and put it down. And as we work our way down, the main construction on this is a 1.1 to 1.3 top grain natural cowhide. Very beefy leather, very solid feel to the overall jacket. And as we work our way down, you do have impact armor at the shoulders, at the elbows, and it's a proprietary CE rated armor from Joe Rocket. The one thing of note here is that you're going to see these carbon fiber inserts with a TPR, or TPU rather, as the external shoulder sliders. And this is my nitpick, is that if you take a close look, the stitching is just very haphazardly done. It doesn't have a really just clean finish to it. It feels almost a little bit half-assed. And that's my only problem with this jacket, is the attention to detail just isn't there when we start to look at these little accent pieces like the exterior shoulder sliders. So that's my only real thing is, just be aware of that if you are looking at this jacket. They didn't go through all the little extra attention to detail for some of these finer points. But the protection as well as the functionality is going to be there in spades from the Hyperdrive. And as we work our way down, you will see you do have pops of reflectivity working its way down the arm, blacked out reflective. You can barely tell that it's reflective until you take a flash and you shine it on there. And then you also have adjusters at the bicep and at the forearm. They're a little bulky, and they do have that Joe Rocket logo in there, but there is elastication, and they work to keep the jacket articulated into place depending on the size of your arms. And if that perforated version is something you're interested in, you can see here that perforation scheme works its way down the inside of the arm all the way down, helping to promote massive amounts of air pushing up through the arms as well. rolled neoprene at the cuff, and if we roll this back, you will see full split for the entry point at the wrist. And again, that rolled neoprene, as we saw on the collar, mimicked down here, adds just a comfort feature to the jacket. Working our way down the chest on this, you can put the arm down, Pat. Working our way down the chest, what looks to be chest pockets on this are actually going to be horizontal vents. So if you are using the non-perf version, you still can get some venting through the chest on this if you are riding into the warmer months. So just keep that in mind. I still would go with the full perf version to get you in the real heat of the summer, especially if you're riding in some of the southern states. But if you are using the non-perf version, both jackets do get vents along the top of the chest and then hand warmer pockets down the side. You may face sideways, Pat, and throw that hand up in the rider position. Now, one of the things you'll note is that coming down both the front of the jacket and the back of the jacket, it's going to be a continuation of that reflective. So there's a lot of reflectivity built into the Hyperdrive. So if you're someone that's concerned about safety, concerned about visibility, especially at night, that is going to be baked into this in spades. You can see even as we work down the arm, you have that Rocket logo down the side, but it is going to have all of that reflective coming up the forearm as well. And then again, working its way down the body. Waist adjuster done in Velcro to make sure that you can fine tune this and make sure it just kind of articulates the fit a little bit better. And like I said, as long as you're sizing down that one size, you should get a very solid race cut out of this jacket. Mr. McHugh, you may face backwards for me. Starting at the very top across the shoulders here, you will see that Rocket logo, which is going to be sewn in. And again, getting back into Joe Rocket's roots, a little bit more branding than what we're seeing in some of their other pieces, so a little bit flashier. You have that pop of reflectivity working its way across the top, and then massive amounts of mesh down, or massive amounts of perforated leather down the back. Now, my only small nitpick here is unlike some of the higher end, aggressive sport jackets that you might take to the track as well, they're running that perforation all the way to the sewn seam on the outside. Now, if this was a take it to the track, you're going to use this as a two-piece suit, I'd be a little bit more concerned with this, but just keep in mind that perforation is going to run all the way out to the side. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for really aggressive riding as far as a two-piece suit is concerned for track use. You want to keep this jacket back onto the street, and that's just going to be, how you would want to use this. If you're looking for a two-piece suit that you can take to the track, there's probably some better options out there for you, or just go with the non-perf version. As we work our way down, there is going to be some Tpr ventilation at the very back. And again, that's going to be permanently open in there just to give you a little bit of extra airflow. Not really noticeable in the perf version other than just to give you a little bit of a style scheme, but will help a little bit with the non-perf version to give you a little bit of an exhaust venting effect. Now this jacket does have a back pad in it. It is just that, it is a back pad. It is not a back protector. So I implore you, the first thing you want to do is when you get this jacket, pull this out and get rid of it and put a full-on CE rated back protector in there. It's a Knox TP2 style. Force Field, Revit, they'll have back protectors that'll slip right in and it'll give you full-on CE rated protection. There will be a connection zipper on the bottom of this so you can zip it together with a pant, and then there will also be 4 belt loop connectors to make sure that it will maintain its protection. It will stay in place. If you are in the event of a crash, you don't have to worry about the jacket pulling up on you. You can just run it around your belt loops and you'll be set to go. Pat, you may face forward. I'm going to have you unsnap, unzip for me. It is a Velcro closure at the top, not an actual snap. And then before we open it up, you will see you've got proven performance just sewn in there on your storm flap, just to give you a little bit of that extra kind of racy feel to it. And actually, I'm going to have you hold that side open because that's where the zipper is. And there is going to be a zipper. Can you just go ahead and unzip that just halfway for me so we can get a look at the inside? That is going to be that thermal vest liner with that mesh liner on the inside. So even if you're just rocking this with a t-shirt underneath, the way the pad is, it's still going to be very comfortable against your skin. And then again, you have that Napoleon pocket over on the left-hand side for a little bit of extra storage. Sir, you may go ahead and zip up for me. So if you're looking for a jacket that's really going to be your sport-inspired piece for street use, the Joe Rocket Hyperdrive is going to be definitely one to consider. I think they've done a nice job with this, especially considering the evolutionary factor of some of their previous jackets that are still out there, like the Super Ego. I think this is going to be a solid step forward with the Hyperdrive to give you more modern lines and a more modern feel. Now, there's a lot of riders out there utilizing Joe Rocket products. There's a lot of Rocket men out there putting this stuff through its paces, and if you want to hear more about what they have to say, click the info button on your desktop or mobile device, which will allow you to read other rider reviews from folks that are already using Joe Rockets on their motorcycles. If you have more questions for one of our gear geeks as to which jacket is right for you and your style of riding, give them a shout at 877-792-9455, or simply shoot us an email, cs@RevZilla.com. Thank you for joining us for this look at the Joe Rocket Hyperdrive. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.